Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Alrighty, wonderful. And then go back to our agenda. One moment. Okay. After Marvin, we have Dale Herring, Green.
Yep, Dale Herring here, representing Greene County.
Abby Heflin of Green. Okay, Alex Vidales.
Yep, Alex here, appointed citizen representing Greene County.
Wonderful. Steve Morris.
Yes, Culpeper Soil and Water District rep.
Wonderful. And has anybody entered the meeting while I was calling attendance that did not say their name? Okay, I think we're good.
So do we still have a quorum despite the absences so far? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. And Isabella, would you read the notice of electronic meeting, please?
Yes. This meeting of the Rivanna River Basin Commission is being held pursuant of Code of Virginia 2.23708.2, which allows a public body to hold electronic meetings when the locality in which it is located has declared a local state of emergency and the catastrophic nature of the emergency makes it impracticable or unsafe to assemble a quorum in a single location. And the purpose of the meeting is to provide for the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. This meeting is being held via electronic video and audio means through Zoom online meetings and is accessible to the public with closed captioning, and there will be opportunity for public comment during that portion of the agenda. Notice has been provided to the public through notice of the TJPDC offices, to the media, the Rrbc website, and agenda. The meeting minutes will reflect the nature of emergency and the meeting by which the meeting was held through electronic means and the type of electronic communication needs through which the meeting was held. A recording of the meeting will be posted at www.rivannariverbasin.org within 10 days of the meeting.
All right. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is to review the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, or other things we should add before, so that we don't forget before we adjourn today? I see no hands waving. Very good. Then let's see. Do we need a motion for the agenda, or may we just use it? I forgot.
I think you can motion to approve the agenda. Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for today?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Very good. Then we have an agenda, and someone is having a terrible time connecting with audio in a black shirt. Who is that? I can't figure out who that is. But anyway, oh, it's Angus. Hello, Angus. Very good. Excellent. Thank you and welcome. Let's see. All right. Comments from the public. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address us today? Has anyone signed up with you, or do we have it? We don't have an additional attendee list here. So
Yeah, nobody else signed up with me. I just
All
wanted
right.
to provide that option in case.
very
anybody-
good. Well, someday I'm sure we will have some. So that's all right.
Yes.
Thank you. Have people had a chance to read the May 6th minutes, and are there any corrections, or do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you very much, Dale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes from May 6th? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we have the minutes approved. Thank you. On to election of officers. And I guess I will turn this back over to you, Isabella, for now until we see where we go.
Okay. So in your packets, you can find the bylaws about the elections, and I will actually review those just so everybody knows right now very quickly. Just one moment. Okay. So I have the most important parts highlighted for everybody, but members of the commission who are local elected governing body officials or members of the soil and water conservation districts shall serve terms coincident with their terms in office. Initial appointments of the 4 non-legislative citizen at-large members shall be staggered as follows: 2 members for a term of 2 years and 2 members for a term of 4 years. That's just good to know, but we don't really have to worry about the citizen appointees today. So no non-legislative citizen member shall serve more than 2 consecutive 4-year terms on any position of whether it's chair, co-chair, or treasurer. And today we will be having an election for the chair, the vice chair, and the treasurer. And just so you all know, for the treasurer, I'll be doing most of the financial management and then of course report to you all for approval as we go. So that'll sort of be in partnership with me. But it says the commission shall select a chairman and a vice chairman from among its membership. A majority of the voting members shall constitute a quorum, which we have. We have 8 out of 14. And then the meetings of the commission, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I don't know if you all would like to start with treasurer and then move up to chair. I'll let you take it from here, Anne. But really, you just need a majority.
Lonnie has been our chair in the past. So if anybody wants to, I mean, he's been the treasurer in the past. So if people would like to have someone to ask about how that was, then he would be a one to do it. If you would like to volunteer to be treasurer, or we can consider drafting him in his absence, but we shall see.
Madam Chair,
Steve, go ahead.
the strategic plan says that the treasurer will be the treasurer of the Thomas Jefferson District.
So that was a mistake, and that's actually something that I amended in this new packet. I thought, well, we were exploring the idea of me potentially serving as the treasurer, but according to the bylaws, I cannot do that. So it will actually have to be one of you all, but I will still be doing the financial and operational management.
Okay.
I'm so glad you pointed that out. Thank you.
That is corrected in the strategic plan, though, as of the update that I sent this morning of the packet.
Great. So, are there any other volunteers who would like to take on the treasurer role, or should we postpone this until next time? All right, well, I'll work. Are there anybody? Well, let's go. Let's jump straight to chair, and I'll turn that back to Isabella, and then she can run that, and then we'll see if we have volunteers for that.
Okay. Would it be best to start if anybody had any nominations for who they thought they would like to serve as chair, and then we can vote from there and sort of get consensus?
Sure, I nominate Ann Malik.
Second.
And I will second you.
Wonderful. How about we do that again with co-chair as well? I don't know. Do we need a movement to approve that?
Yeah, they need to go ahead and have a discussion, and then they'll need to vote.
Okay.
Are there any other volunteers? I want to make sure we have a chance.
You're the lucky one, Ann.
Well, I'm glad to continue but I don't want to elbow anybody else out of the way. That's all. Thank you. All right. Isabella, you better have a vote, and then I'll go on from there.
Okay, let's vote for Ann Malik as the chair for the consecutive term.
Aye.
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 Well, thank you, everyone. I do hope we will find someone from a different jurisdiction to be vice chair. Would anyone of the other counties or jurisdictions volunteer to be vice chair?
Or would anybody like to nominate anybody else?
Or yes, or volunteer.
I nominate Dale Herring.
Excellent. Dale, are you willing?
Sure. Thank you, Tony.
You're
Second that. Thank you. You've been a loyal attendee here, so that's great. And I'm glad to have people in green jumping in. That's wonderful. Thank you. Any other nominations for vice chair? All right, we will close the nominations, and all in favor of Dale for vice chair, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Very good. We have Dale Herring, thank you, as vice chair as well. So we will now, we'll come back to treasurer. Is there anyone else who has fallen weakened in their willingness to take on the treasurer role, or shall I get after Lonnie in his absence to see if he can take that on? So please, I'm sure he would be glad to be replaced, but I don't want to jump on somebody who really doesn't either have that particular forte, because I do not, or ability to take that on. All right, I see deathly silence. So Isabella, you and I will reach out to Lonnie and see if he's willing to continue. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you very much. All right, let's see. Next on our agenda, let's go back to the agenda. And it says, all right, presentation. This is our contract and review of the strategic plan. So let's start with the contract, Isabella, and please go over that and explain it, because some people may not have been here when we did one last time.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem at all. I'm just gonna share my screen. A moment. And there it is. All right. Is this large enough for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, we're not seeing ourselves. Let me close that for you. Okay. So this is going to be a 60-month or 5-year contract. In the past, our Rrbc is typically engaged in 10-month to a year-long contract. But we just thought for continuity's sake, and through transitions, it would make a lot of sense to just have a 5-year contract that's based off of the 5-year strategic plan that we'll be going over after this. So really, this is general, and the meat of the contract is going to be in the appendix, which is the strategic plan, but we'll just go over this briefly. It's an agreement between the chair and then the TJPDC that will cover from, so it actually started July 2022, where we've been continuing the work program based on the duties that were assigned in past years. So starting July 1 of this fiscal year and ending June 30th of 2027. And we can extend it if agreed upon by both parties within 30 days of the end of the existing contract. And we're basing the compensation and financial reporting on the past few years of the finances through the TJPDC and Rrbc's partnership. So that will remain the same at $10,500. No more funds will be requested than previous to each of your localities. Yes. So, and then if there is any exceedance, we will have written consent from both parties to ensure that we're following that. And then we will develop our 5-year annual work plan to be approved by the Rrbc Board of Directors at the end of this contract. May enter into, so the TJPDC and Rrbc may enter either into individual or agreed amendments or amended agreements for services in addition to the organizational management, fiscal services, and approved work plan priorities. So if anything else comes up, we can make amendments. And then just our project description is we're going to provide the general operational management, fiscal services, storage of our past files and assets. We'll also provide staffing for at least 2 commission meetings per year. And this is a new part of the work plan. At least 2 stakeholder advisory group meetings or watershed roundtable meetings per year. Approved by the work plan. Of reporting. So this is also something that is an addition this year. We just want to make sure that there's transparency between the Rrbc and the TJPDC. So this year I'll show you sort of our template that we'll follow in the next few years for our end of year status report on finances and then our completed activities. So we will also get to that. Terminations, again, amendments, and then we're going to be following the work plan, which is coming up next. Would you like me to present on that now, Anne? This really is the end, and then it's just a signature.
Yes, all I would say before we need a vote on this, so perhaps we should do that. And I will just say that I'm very appreciative of the work that the TJPDC has provided. It's been sort of ups and downs over the years, depending on the availability of commission staff, but the improvements already, which have been brought about for the website and the involvement in the corridor plan and other activities has been spectacular and very much appreciated. So I am personally in agreement to go on for another interval. And are there questions or concerns that anyone has about this issue? I don't hear anyone or see hands waving. So is there a motion to approve the contract with the PDC?
So, second,
Thank you.
Sorry, who moved that? Apologies.
B.
B. Thank you, B. And who's second? Sorry.
is me, Dale.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We have to be watching when the yellow squares flash, otherwise it's hard to keep up, that's for sure.
I know, that's why I had to stop sharing screen real quick.
Any more discussion about the contract? All right, then we have a motion and a second. All in favor for extending the contract with the planning district? Please say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? None. All right, the contract is approved. Thank you. So now we may carry on with the strategic plan.
Okay, wonderful. Share screen again. Okay. So here we are. Again, this is a 5-year work program. And I'm going to focus on really the deliverables that are changed. Just start with a brief overview for you all. So this is really, of course, the purpose of the Rrbc, who's involved, what this strategic work program guides, and just where the funds for it came from generally. And then here we just go into, again, I think it's important to remind ourselves often of the mission and objectives of the Rrbc. And we're a regional organization tasked with recommending programs for the enhancement of water and natural resources within the Rivanna River Basin. We were formed in 2007, and we're a forum for local governments and citizens to discuss issues affecting the basin's water quality, quantity, and other natural issues. We promote communication, coordination, and education by suggesting appropriate solutions to identified problems. And then we also promote activities by local, state, and federal governments and by individuals that foster resource stewardship of the environmental economic health of the basin. So what came out of our big research project this past year was that these are really the guiding goals of the Rrbc, and over all of it is environmental protection and public health. And through that, public education, outdoor recreation, and public access, historic sites and cultural features and their preservation, and the preservation of scenery and farmland is all possible. And so that's really where this strategic work program grew from. So some of these tasks are, of course, going to be very similar to what's been provided in years past, and then there's a few additions. So we have 2 parts. Number 1 is program administration. And generally, we're going to share information with local partners and the public. You can read a little bit more of the description there, but I'll focus on the deliverables. So we're going to share information on the website and Facebook page with information on best practices, informational articles about the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Department of Environmental Quality, local resources, other reputable sources. We're going to participate in outreach meetings and provide and review data as needed. So, for example, that looks like me attending the Rivanna Stormwater Education Partnerships, the climate vulnerability assessments that are happening in Charlottesville, and things along those lines, just to make sure that we're working in coordination with the other environmental groups in the area. And then we're going to attend relevant training sessions and professional development at local watershed meetings to better inform the Basin Commission's efforts on an as-needed basis. Oh, and I guess I should say, for background, this is really going to guide my work as support staff to the Rrbc. This is not something that we're asking of you all. Provide informational updates through the TJPDC's news distribution channels. I want to mention here again the Words from Your Watershed newsletter, which you can find on the TJPDC's Watershed Implementation Plan webpage, where you can stay up to date with funding resources, local news, educational opportunities, all really related to water quality and quantity and health. As well as in our news brief, which is another online source you can find on the TJPDC website, the legislative update with new environmental laws, such as the solar updates that we all saw this year on the Facebook, and then the TJPDC's quarterly report. We're going to staff board meetings and prepare meeting materials. I'll let you all read more if you need to there, but again, more of the same. For operational and fiscal management, what that will look like is preparing the budget and work program for the commissioners' consideration and approval, to maintain the finances in accordance with law, process all payments and deposits for the commission. This is something that is new that we're going to be exploring this year, but it does look like it will be feasible within the bylaws. As I was reviewing that this year, I noticed that there was something defined in the powers of and duties that allowed for the Rrbc to seek and accept gifts, donations, and services and other aids from public and private sources. So we're going to consider the feasibility of a donation location added to the Rrbc Facebook and website for monthly donations and the option for a one-time gift. We're going to maintain a list of issues and priorities and pipeline projects that occur in each locality to review and update at one meeting per year to help with continuity when board members or staff changes occur. So that'll be based on the local meetings that I attend, as well as the Rrbc meetings that we're in right now. And then again, develop the work program to justify the request for funding. And then the annual conference, we're going to develop the agenda, address topics of priority, encourage public participation and attendance, utilize partnerships with state, federal, and local water resources experts, and share the event and registration information widely across media outlets. And then this is the last task of program administration. We're going to promote coordination, communication, and education within the basin as it relates. And this will be to, first, we have to identify members of the stakeholder advisory group, which is pretty much almost complete based on the research of the past year of our Rivanna stewards, as we called it. And then we're going to host that meeting at least 2 times per year. The plan is to have that the month before the commission meeting so that we can address things that come up at that stakeholder advisory meeting. And then again, to update that running track sheet. Okay, now into part 2, local assistance and planning. So this is really where I would hope that you all would communicate with your boards and your staff to make sure that they recognize the opportunities that lie in partnership with the Rrbc. So a lot of these tasks in section 2 are as requested. So I cannot do them unless it is requested of me by local staff and approved by the boards. So provide technical and planning assistance to local partners as requested. So here it'll be to support the development as requested of local comprehensive plans, environmental chapters, and recommendations as requested to reference the goals of the Rivanna Basin, provide historical context to the Rivanna and its importance within each locality, and emphasize the implementation of BMPs for solutions to water quality. We'll develop and provide environmental GIS information as requested and needed, provide support and technical assistance with small area studies, strategic planning efforts, and plans involving the Rivanna River, and then engage in local, regional, and state federal planning processes and efforts that are related or have impacts to the Rivanna River Basin as feasible and requested. Okay, 2.2. Prepare and support grant applications that further the goals identified through the comprehensive benchmarking process, which occurred last year. So we're going to pursue basin-wide or cross-jurisdictional grants that further the goals surrounding the Rivanna River as defined in the bylaws. So that we can support in grants that are based on one locality, but we can provide a lot more technical support if they're basin-wide or cross-jurisdictional that serve multiple goals and multiple localities, since we are a basin commission. We'll assist the regions, counties, cities, and towns with grant applications, improvements, education, water access, water quality, or to support planning efforts. And then we'll attend and review grant informational webinars and meetings as needed, develop grant working groups as needed to maximize potential for funding within the basin, and to support the identification of river steward / organizations to administer, apply for available funds. And I think that will really be served through the stakeholder advisory group mentioned earlier. Okay, these are the last two tasks, and separate from the prior tasks, these will not be occurring every single year. This first task will occur in the first 2 years of the 5-year plan, and then this task will occur in the last 3 years of the plan. So I really tried to pull in much of the feedback that we gathered from you all in our May meeting this year. So you can definitely see some hints of that last meeting here in these last two deliverables. So we will modernize and add content to the Rivanna River Basin Commission website. We believe that it should reflect the mission and objectives of the Rrbc, should hold information that helps further the goals of the Rivanna as identified by the commission, and increase public education for best practices pertaining to Rivanna stewardship. All of this will be done in a way that reflects the design of modern websites at this point in time. Definitely needs an update. So some of the things, I'll just let you read that there because we're coming up at the end of time on this one. But really just sharing links of other plans, sharing links of the historical works that have been done by community members. And then generally, we're just going to be a warehouse for information regarding access, safety, environmental protection, recreation, education, the different Rivanna stewards and how the public can interact with them, and things along those lines. And then for the last 3 years of the plan, we're going to develop that story map, which is a historical timeline of the Rivanna River as it relates to water quality and environmental justice. So we will work with local historical societies, water quality experts to obtain relevant data to include as part of this timeline, and then include perspectives from minority populations, the Native American population, and then develop an online version to store on the website, and then also a print version to share at tourist centers, Rivanna River Company, and other locations as identified. And then here's really just the timeline, so you can see those last two deliverables are broken down. And then one other thing I'll point out is that, this is a nice little schedule. So I might have to remedy that actually, but no, that's right. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be the stakeholder advisory group meetings right here. And then this will be our board meetings. And then I'll do a report on the financial management, just a short staff update. And then here is our conference. So blue is when active work towards task deliverables, including a meeting conference report happens. And then of course, green is active work, but not presentations. And then here's our budget breakdown based on staff hours and how much time we're going to, we think things will cost. And so I just want to make you all aware that the 5-year timeline, the total is right under the total of $10,500 per year. It should be $52,500, but we have $3 of wiggle room, which is good. But just so you know, per year, I have it broken down based on fiscal year 23, and you can see that it slightly goes over that $10,500, but you can expect in the following years for that to decrease and then reflect the 5-year total of $10,500. And that's also, let me know if you have any questions for me.
All right, thank you very much. Questions, folks? That was a lot to go over very quickly, so I hope we made notes. All right, well, I have a couple that may spur some other people asking things. When you do, the first thing, when you were presenting about the updates to the WIP and the site on the PDC website, if you could set up some kind of RSS that's easy for you to do so that we get a notice to say, look here, here it is. Similar to what the state does for the town hall. I know I am notoriously bad about following up on things that are popping up because I don't find them. So that would be very helpful if it's not a big deal for you and you could tell me.
No problem. So would you like me to just follow up with an email to that link so that you all can join the newsletter? Is that what you're saying?
Well, or however it's best for us to get notified when there's something new to look at.
Okay, absolutely.
That's great. Thank you. And I love the fundraising link. And what is involved in environmental GIS? Is that a diagnostic sort of thing, investigatory sort of thing, or what?
Yeah, so the idea is, and this has actually been part of the work program with WIP in the past and Rrbc, but sometimes we'll get requests from local government for like data that the TJPDC houses or the Rrbc houses, but then also if a specific type of map needs to be created to support a planning endeavor, that's something that we can support in if we have the data available. And just to make sure this is all clear, because the funds are limited for the RRBC and because there's a lot of as requested, we're going to really have to make that a conversation about if there is staff availability and the resources and flexibility to be able to complete whatever is as requested. But I would love to help as much as I can.
Sounds good. And the historic timeline, when you get to it, is really going to be a great resource, because the one thing that jumped into my mind when you were describing it was Carlton Ray, who lives out in Whitehall, talking to me years ago about the fact that, did you know that in the 19th century, absolutely the entire Mormons River Basin and Sugar Hollow Mountains were all deforested because it was all in agriculture? And so this legacy sediment that we have moving from up and down, not up, but down the stream all the time is something that we want to try to slow down and to deal with, but it's been in the water for a long time. So we just don't want to make it any worse. So thank you very much. Other questions for Isabella on the strategic plan and the work program?
Isabella, Isabella, this is Steve Morris.
Yes.
Do we have, or does the commission have like a map or anything that shows the best management projects that have been done through the soil and water districts? Maybe be either on a map or just listed that all the stream exclusions that have been done, within the commission.
That is not something that we house. That would be very cool. But I do believe that Charlottesville has something similar to what you're speaking of. And maybe I can find it while we're in this meeting. But they do a map of sort of where those best practices are occurring, just to kind of get the word out to people that like, this is happening here in your backyard. And it's accessible to you as well. So yeah.
I mean, that's something that, I don't want to speak for the district without speaking to our manager, but, that's something that could be supplied, by the soil and water districts. But I'd be glad to try to work on it for, like in Greene County, in our area. It really wouldn't be that hard to do. It would be a little time consuming, but I can get back with you later on that after I talk to our district manager.
That would be great to house on the Rivanna River Basin Commission website. Yeah, thank you, Steve.
That is such a splendid idea. And I expect that Farm Service Agency, Corey Kirkland and gang and Ann Coates' gang also would be able to easily, it would take time, but locate geographically where their cost share programs are. And, multiple layers, if there are several programs in one place or whatever. I think this would inspire others, as you said, to join up and realize that there are benefits. They could go and visit, see what really happens.
And you could plug into that later, maybe even show the conservation easement. I mean, and that's something that I know it is available.
Yes.
So it just need to be plugged into wherever Isabella would like to put it or whatever. But anyway.
I just found, you can find in the chat now, it's called the City Green Map. And they report, you can find a link to their website, but they report on green stormwater infrastructure, sustainable buildings and energy, natural resources, sustainable agriculture, sustainable getting around, so bike and pedestrian, and then sustainable waste management. So that's really exciting. Maybe that could be something we take inspiration from, or the Soil and Water Conservation District takes inspiration from.
Great. Sounds like a good model to follow. Other questions? Comments? Okay. Well, that's terrific. So let's see, we need to.
That's something that would need a movement.
Formally adopt the work plan, strategic work plan. All right, do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
And a second?
Was that Dale who motioned? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I will second it. I think I'm allowed. Very good. Any more discussion on this? All right, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Hello, Lloyd. Good to see you.
Hello.
You got here just in time. That's great. We were talking about city stuff.
I tried to get on at 11:07, but for whatever
Oh, I'm
reason,
so sorry if you were sitting in the waiting room. I was
Oh,
in
no.
presentation mode, so I couldn't see.
We were having so much a good time. I'm sorry we left you out in the lurch.
I was feeling very hurt.
I'm so sorry. Please get over it. All right.
Just want to know, did anyone tell Lloyd that he's the new chair of the organization?
Yeah, Lloyd, are you interested in being the treasurer?
That's what I get for not coming, huh?
Yes, we're still seeking a treasurer, so think about that. That's great. Thank you. All right, let's see. We have a motion and a second, and we've asked for discussion. So let's all in favor of adopting the work program as described, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. And any opposed? None opposed. So that carries. Thank you, Isabella. Next, staff updates. All right, girl, go for it.
Okay, let me pull up my agenda as well. Okay. So I'll share my screen again quickly. And as I had just mentioned that, financial report that is now going to be a part of, it's just going to be at one meeting per year, probably the second meeting per year, just to report on what's been done and the finances and how they've been utilized. Okay, let me share my screen and just share the screen. Sorry, it's going to be a moment. Okay, here we go. It's just a short 2-pager. And what we have, here it is. So our status report is today for fiscal year 22. And typically there's going to be a status summary on how we've utilized the funds and the accomplishments of the year. And the purpose of this is really to strengthen continuity, foster transparency between the Rrbc and TJPDC, and to foster growth within and surrounding the commission and its finances. So this is just the percentages here are general ballpark, but our program administration for fiscal year 2022 is done. And the strategic work plan was 99% done and now 100% because we have approval. And then the Rrbc conference, I have at 95, although we have pretty much all the details nailed down, which we'll go over in just a moment here. We are just waiting for that date, which will be September 29th, where hopefully everybody will join together. So that's what that 95% is reflective of. And then the budget overview. So this is a short description of what this portion of the document will include. Details on how the money was spent based on the 5-year strategic work plan's defined budget. While the plan assumes funding will remain constant at $10,500 per year. Due to the nature of the contract and the work plan, certain years have a slightly lower or higher budget. Information will be presented on a yearly basis to reflect the portion of the total 5-year funds that was utilized during that year's activities, and the activities completed will be expanded upon in the yearly debrief following this section. Details of the activities are FY 2022 are displayed on the following page. So this is a general overview of this past year. So we developed the 5-year strategic work plan, compiled and researched information on the various river stewards and their role in the Rivanna or in the community, local comprehensive plans as well, and their relation to water quality in the Rivanna, and small area or statewide plans that either directly inform the Rrbc's work or are tangentially related and used for benchmarking best practices. We surveyed the river stewards to gain insight into their opinion of the most important issues impacting the basin. We shared information on applicable funding opportunities, best management practices, local events, water management and planning through the Rrbc and TJPDC Facebook page in coordination with the Rivanna Stormwater Education Partnership. Shared information on environmental justice, environmental policy changes and tools for addressing emphasized environmental impacts in disadvantaged or minority communities. Detailed the Rrbc or maintained the Rrbc webpage with up-to-date information on meeting dates and materials for public access, appointed 2 new citizen appointees and 2 new board members to the Rrbc this year, created an onboarding packet accessible online for the RRBC and board members or commissioners, sorry. And then we met for 2 board meetings, September 2021 and May 2022. And then the RRBC conference was held last year in September. And then we developed the conference agenda and event planning in 2021 and planned for the September 2022 RRBC conference, which is focused on solar initiatives and environmental justice. And then I will pull in my intern now, who has been working with me this past summer. He's a student at the University of Virginia's Batten School of Public Policy and has a lot of interest in environmental planning and policy, and has really been instrumental and pivotal in helping me plan and gather all the resources that are needed for the conference this year. And I'm very, very excited to kind of take you guys through what we have planned and get your feedback and get you excited about it as well. You want to introduce yourself, Brandon?
Yeah, can everybody hear me? Excuse me. Having a little bit of problems with my voice today, but I will definitely work through it. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and pull this up for y'all. We can go over kind of like our agenda here that we have planned for how the conference is going to really look. So give me 1 moment.
If it's easier for me, Brandon, I can just pull up the packet and you can present from it. If you'd
Yeah,
like.
if you don't mind, if you don't
Yeah.
mind doing that, that would be awesome.
Sure, you're feeling under the weather. All right. I will share your screen, and also I can talk about it too if you're struggling.
Thank you. All right. So a lot, especially based on a lot of the solar policies that have recently been passed inside of Virginia, we decided to really shift the Rivanna River Basin Conference this year from normally dealing with water quality and stormwater issues, and now focusing on how our localities can really get more involved inside of implementing solar facilities and policies within our area. Of some of the speakers that we have coming in, we have Elizabeth Marshall, who is with the Weldon Cooper Center at UVA. She's actually going to be talking directly on some of these solar initiatives that her organization is responsible for, and really sharing as well any potential possibility for participation in these types of initiatives within our localities. Encore Renewable Energy is a Vermont-based solar facility company that is actually planning on coming out to speak as well. They're actually making a really big shift or kind of push to get more solar facilities out in Virginia active. They actually specialize in agrivoltaics and really working to make sure these solar facilities work with the land themselves. They also have a pretty big emphasis on using brownfields and abandoned fields and places where farmers are able to use this type of land for solar facilities without taking away any of their potential income from crops or for whatever else they might be using that land for. So we're really excited to see that. Really cool as well is that when they come, they're asking anybody that is going to be attending the conference to also bring in any potential lands that they think any farmer or landowner might have that might be interested in turning into a solar facility. And they actually have a system that they will bring on their persons that will be able to kind of type in, look up, and give a good estimate whether or not that is something that they might be able to work with. They also are bringing in some additional organizations resources. So in case they are not able to help out with the solar facility, they can still sort of recommend where may be the best place to go to then instead. Moving on down to DEQ, we have Chad Martin coming in, and he's actually one of the lead in environmental justice within the region, especially with the Virginia taking a big shift and placing more emphasis on environmental justice issues. He'll be able to speak along those lines as well as relating it back to—
Sorry, Brandon, just a note. So Chad Martin serves our region. Specifically, there are a few different environmental justice coordinators for the state. And so this is really an introduction for you all to understand how you can work with him and how he can help you in furthering environmental justice, because I know that some people don't actually even really know exactly what that means. And so this is really to give more context into that. All right, go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect. You done. And so that'll kind of help wrap up most of our speakers. However, before and after our speakers, we're also going to be offering tabling events for different organizations, including the organizations that our speakers are coming from. And those tabling events will usually be held by certain localities within our area and will provide additional information and opportunities for the public and other localities to share information and ask questions about whatever they might be presenting at. And those tabling events will be available for about 30 to 45 minutes or so before and after our speakers. At the end of our entire event, we will also actually be offering a quick little river walk that potentially might be hosted by Dan Mahone. I'll actually be speaking to him a little bit later on today to see if he would like to actually help us out with that. But this will be something completely optional that will allow any of the participants to really learn a bit more about the Rivanna, as well as hear some really interesting stories that Dan has to offer. He's been very highly requested, and so we're very excited to finally get in contact with him. Also been a little bit off the grid, but we did find him eventually.
Yes, and he'll probably be leading the river walk alongside Alexandria, who is one of the staff members for the Lewis and Clark Exploratory Center, which will be where we're hosting the event. So it will be in person this year. And the purpose of tabling before and after is, well, first to just let everybody settle in, get acquainted, get to know each other and network, see how we can work together better. And then following, so that if there's any follow-up questions, those can be answered. And then additionally, in conjunction with the Riverwalk, we're really trying to promote participation from not only like board members and locality staff, but also the public, so that they can realize their role in this as well. And just so you all know, as you get the word out about this event, the purpose here is, of course, to talk about solar policy and how it relates to land use, but we'll also be talking about the differences in solar policy and just the different implications that need to be considered in rural areas versus urban, as well as large scale solar. So those large scale farms or facilities versus household solar as well. So it really is targeted for solar, both for policy and locality staff and electeds, as well as the public. Yes. That's generally the synopsis. We're really excited for this event. That's pretty much it. So if there's any questions, right here, you can see who we have gotten word back from on tabling, and then more details on the speakers, and then links to their websites are available in the packet as well. And then just a general synopsis of what we found to be applicable to each county based on solar and the news that's related to it. But as we're planning for this, and we are going to have one meeting prior to the event with all of our speakers, just to make sure that the message is pretty comprehensive and flows, but that will also be an opportunity for us to bring up any questions that are from our localities on really what they would like to be covered. So I'd just like to hear any feedback from you all here or in the next few days, really anytime up until the conference, a week prior probably, on any questions that you have related to solar, so that we can make sure that those are addressed, because this is of course for you all. And I see a raised hand. Angus, would you like to, you can ask your question.
Yes, thank you. Angus Murdoch, coming in from the Thomas Jefferson Soil and Water Conservation District. And the solar issue has been something that's getting more and more concern on our end, particularly with the water quality impacts from, you know, if we're getting into thousands of acres under utility scale solar, what the water quality impacts of that are. You know, to what extent did the panels function as impervious surfaces?
Exactly. And that's actually going to be,
yeah, so
sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
Go ahead, sir. Well, just that every locality shouldn't have to reinvent that wheel on its own, trying to figure out how to deal with that. And I gather DEQ's got a fair bit to say on that, but I think we
Yes,
need to
and
get ahead of
also,
things before we get bulldozed, you know.
right. And Encore,
Thank you.
I'll say Encore, if you want to check out their website, they're really on the cutting edge of solar and bringing in those best management practices with it. So if you aren't familiar with the term agrivoltaics, it's agriculture voltaics light. And so it's about having that agriculture in conjunction with the solar panels that can help absorb some of that runoff that's coming from that impervious surface. And talking about land use so that we're not clear cutting trees, but we're using areas that maybe are brownfields or Superfund sites and can't be utilized for anything else. So that we're considering water quality with it. And that's really why we're having the solar panel talk at the Rrbc conference, is because there are many water quality implications with this huge expansion of solar across the state. So thank you for reiterating that. We'll definitely make sure that that's covered at the conference.
No, glad to hear it. Thank you.
I'm very grateful that DEQ is coming out with a discontinued impervious designation for these things, because calling on impervious surfaces over 1,000 acres is completely insane. And so back to the location, what is the capacity? If it's raining, how many people can be inside? So we can plan ahead about that.
Yeah, so we've definitely been planning for that. There's about 75 people that can be inside at any given time. But then also we're gonna have a tent outside so that people can be outside. There's also a bit of covered area at the center. So yeah, that's all up for it. And then the river walk, all of it's free. So if we have to cancel that, we cancel it, but it's an option.
But we'll have people register in advance, I hope, so that we have an idea. If they're going to be 200, then we have to figure that out.
Yeah, we're actually making a registration that's going to be sent out following this meeting. We just wanted to talk about all the details with you all first. It's going to be capped so that we don't have too many people show up and that it's at capacity. And then, one other thing we forgot to mention is that we're hoping that it's within the budget to get a food truck. We're still talking with a few people that will have local options and vegetarian options, as well as compost and sustainability considerations. But if that's not available, then we'll definitely just have some refreshments available for folks. That's definitely within the budget.
And what is the time frame for the meeting?
It's going to be about 3 hours. So we're thinking 30 minutes on the both ends, and then 2 hours for all of the speakers.
And beginning when? I mean, like 10 to 2 or?
1, I believe, for 12:30. We're nailing that little piece down. Once we finalize everything with the speakers, we'll know. But it's definitely going to be an afternoon. You can block off your calendars, I would say, from 12 to 3, and you'll be safe.
Okay, great. And if the last time we had an in-person one at the county office building, which was several years ago, we did have a food truck and it was fabulously successful. People bought their own lunch. It was no finance involved, and far better on everybody's nerves than trying to do box lunches, which we had done for the very first one years ago.
Yeah. I didn't really know about this prior to this, but typically when a food truck's coming out to an area that they don't typically sit at, you have to provide funds to ensure that their baseline is met. To rent the space, I guess. But yeah, people will pay for their own lunches. We're not going to have everything catered because we don't know how many people are going to come out or if they've had lunch or not yet. So it'll be up to them.
We'll figure that out. Great, thank you. Other questions for any of the presentation here about the conference? And will there be a digital listen in capability? Okay, good. Okay, hybrid. That's wonderful. Last time we were on Zoom, we had people from all over the country, which we would never have had if it had been in person only. So that was really spectacular. Thank you for making sure that hybrid is available. All right, what's next?
It's necessary in this day and age, for sure.
Yes, indeed. All right, other items for discussion, other questions, free for all? That's on people's minds here. Questions, assignments for Isabella and Brandon to work on. No? All right. Well, this has been a rather overwhelming amount of information, but wonderful. And thank you for providing it in advance. So we had a chance to decipher it a little bit.
And feel free to reach out with any questions that may come up. I'm always available. You all have my phone number.
Very good. All right, and we then will not be having another sort of pre-conference meeting. You've got it pretty well nailed down at this point. So you'll just update us by email on what and when and all that stuff.
Yes, and the registration link will go right out to y'all. So please do register. But we're counting you all as there for sure.
Well, hopefully the weather will cooperate. And in past years, as a the next day activity, we had planned multiple years for boat trips and all that kind of thing. And one year the water was too high and it was unsafe. And the next year the water was too low and there wasn't any floating involved. So I'm glad that we're staying on land at least. It's a little more predictable. And there's certainly a lot of wonderful trails around there to be able to see what there is up close. All right, any other news for the will of the good of the order here? Yes, B, please.
Yes, I just, you mentioned about the trails and everything. Does this organization do anything about the continuing trail along the Rivanna River from Dardentown all the way to the State Farm building?
Not specifically. I mean, we would stay in touch with, I think that's all an Albemarle County project, but we could certainly coordinate with them if there are things of interest that overlap that you're interested in us exploring.
Well, I mean, it's a wonderful trail along the river.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, because I've heard from people about, how are we doing? Are we connecting on that? And I didn't know if this was the organization that would do something like that, because I mean, I read the agenda, I read everything, but I didn't see any, frankly, actionable plans for anything. That's what I was concerned about. So maybe I misread.
Within the work program?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't, as mentioned for the local assistance and technical planning assistance, that second portion of the program, that's going to be on an as requested basis. So we really are looking to you all to reach out to local staff here, TJPDC staff, to support you all and coordinate with you. And then the last two items in the technical planning assistance are really our actionable items. I really think that the website is due for an update. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think it looks like it was built in the 90s or so.
Which it was.
We really can be a warehouse for all of the local river plans, as well as access points and the ways that the public can interact with the different river stewards like RCA, RSEP, there's soil and water conservation districts, house funding, house a calendar of local events. And I can see our role now as starting off as the environmental conversation really kicks off in our region and across the globe, that we're an information sharing body. And when those requests come in, we're happy to help. But that's where I'll leave it. Yeah,
I see.
That's where I'll leave it.
We're an information sharing body. We're not a body that actually does.
Well, we can, based on our bylaws, we recommend solutions to water quality and resource things that come up within the basin.
Right.
And so as those things come up, we'll respond to them and help as we can and as we see fit and as is available within the scope of funding and the work program.
As a follow-up to that, because I think it's such a great idea, under your education sharing or outreach or whatever, perhaps a spring and fall walk. And the spring walk would be absolutely ideal for the Old Mills Trail, which is the south of Free Bridge, right along the river, because the ephemerals, the flowers there are unreal. I mean, there are thousands of different things that you can see, and you need a guide like Lonnie Murray or Devin Floyd to identify them all. But so I love the idea of a couple of times a year, we offer one of these and get somebody to lead it and see if we can draw in some people who might want to be on land as opposed to being paddling. And maybe there's a same day paddle. I don't know. Perhaps we can work with Gabe and try to do something fun like that, where there's a spring float and a spring walk all at the same time.
I think there's definitely a way to merge the information sharing with some in-person events for sure.
We need to have more fun.
Yeah. That's how we learn, right?
Well, and I'm looking forward to closing Free Bridge Lane and being able to, yeah, I know, Ann and I both, being able to have events there, whether they're art fairs or small music festivals, just, you know, because it's right next to the river, and it's an area that would be perfect for events like that to highlight what is there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
On the day of the fair, we should have a kayaking, you know, jump the pipe because of the sewer pipe that runs under the river right there by the put in. And see how many people can do some wild stuff with the kayakers there.
Exactly.
That's grand.
Okay.
Super. Well, thank you. So Isabella, are we ready to adjourn or did you have more for us?
That is all from me.
All right,
Anything
well,
else from you, Brandon or Sandy?
No, I don't think so. I think we mentioned it previously, and it was just one more plug because I think you're totally correct that there really is a big emphasis of this event is making these connections for us to provide that information with potentially organizations or companies that would also be able to do some bit more actionable actual items. And I believe that it was mentioned previously, but just one more time to plug that if there are different staff members from different localities that just have even the most general idea about whether solar facilities would be interested or possible on a specific land area, just coming with like a list of just the addresses would be incredibly helpful for Encore, who would literally be able to kind of take that information and directly look into see if that's a possibility and account for impervious services and the potential runoff consequences, all that type of things inside of this program that they've created. That was just like my last little plug, but yes, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I will look forward to learning more about, because I'm not sure I'm comfortable with promoting a particular developer. So, I mean, there are a lot of local companies. If this is an educational resource and we can learn about the agrivoltaics from them, that's fine.
Yeah, this is no promise to say that you're going to work with them.
Right.
This is to say that there is light available at this location where you could implement a solar facility, basically.
So
it's not a promise to Encore by any means.
Yeah, it's general information gathering. I think that some landowners have complained to me that they have received colored glossy mailings, anybody over a certain acreage all over the state, basically, to say, you know, we guarantee you gobs of money and all this stuff. And I worry about those kinds of things being fly by night, and we're going to have a heap of trouble. So I look forward to having a very high performance bar for all of these actors when they decide to come to well.
Yeah, thanks. That's helpful to keep in mind. And then I was just going to say that I really want to just thank Bella for the work that she's put into sort of identifying opportunities for this group. And I think we're all going to benefit from the work and her passion for the environment at the TJPDC. So thanks, Bella.
Absolutely. We have an Energizer bunny here. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Well, everyone, I hope that you all have a great rest of August and fall, and we will see everyone at the conference. I hope it'll be a beautiful sunny day and 65 degrees.
And real quick, well, I think
ahead.
we would be remiss not to congratulate Sandy on the birth of her new child.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, he's sleeping through the night, so hopefully you guys will start seeing me regularly again at the meetings. And ask me for a picture sometime if you're interested.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes,
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, take care, everyone, and we will see you all again soon.
Yes, enjoy the rest of your summer.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.